Hey, hello again, everybody. Welcome back. In this video, I want to revisit the Solcadens video that I had published a couple of days ago. In that one, I was in the test server. They had dropped a new version of Solcadens in there where they have changed his Lord skill, where he's given a little bit more time in terms of penetration to his allies. And additionally, they changed his ultimate, but more specifically, they changed his Pyro Blitz. His Pyro Blitz now was not depending on how many infernals you brought into the team. It's just said it's going to take 2 infernal teammates, and it's going to then give Solcadens their attack and their crit damage to boost that powerful strike that he has. Not only that, he would then extend it out and deal a little bit more damage. As you saw from this video, there were multiple ticks where we started seeing a million too, especially after the initial burst. But one of the things that was identified is that last hit where we started seeing another burst of damage was actually miscalculating. So it was actually given more damage than it should have. So what I decided to do is come back into the test server with the revised Solcadens, the ones where they actually acknowledged that they had fixed the Pyro Blitz. And I decided I'm going to run him to the same gauntlet of test and just take a peek and look to see exactly what changed. And is the damage that he is providing us is still significant? So I believe that this is the message that showed up here in the Forerunners, and I think that it was copy pasted into the global server as well, essentially where we're saying, hey, we're sorry, we saw something on the Pyro Blitz, we needed to fix it. Now for Forerunners people, you know, we got fun, at least with Solcadens for about, 48 hours with that extra damage, but it got reverted accordingly and people noticed it. You on the global server probably did not even notice this. You actually got the Solcadens that they intended to release to begin with. But for the purposes of this video, I have to go back and look at what I published previously, because that again was the bug version. So essentially, this is the version here that is now in the test server and that was released in the global server. In the Forerunner server, the way that the Pyro Blitz is written is a little bit different. It actually, I think, is from the version that was in that original video. But here is essentially what we got initially in the patch notes. And that was that 2 faction members were going to contribute to his Pyro Blitz, and that each faction member would contribute 50% of attack and 60% crit damage. So it would be an additional 120 and then 50 times 2, which would be 100% attack. In my video, I had shown it was both of them would give him 140% attack and 160 critical damage. That ended up being wrong as well. So they had to fix that. So I was told that this is indeed, this version of the Pyro Blitz is the one that is supposed to be working how they wanted him to work. Not only that, there was there is additional damage that he can do based on these 2 faction members that can go up to 800% extra damage. And finally, we have this blast damage now that has been increased to 300%. That helped, okay? It's just that apparently there was something wrong with that mark, that splash, that final burst or the final explosion that was giving the extra damage, so they had to revert that back. All right, so then again, what I decided to do was to go ahead and do my test. So let me show you a clip of that. All right, so let me go back over what we've noticed, and here it is what's happening. Here I'm going to release the Pyro Blitz. And so what I did is I went back and I copied the same build, exactly the same build that I used on that previous video. So here we go. We're going to go with the explosion, the first set of damage. And so here we get the first hit, which is 4-6. That's exactly what I noticed on the other one as well. And so as we keep playing the clip here, you're going to see multiple ticks of about between 1.2, 1.6. And so there was 1 right there. And then we get some nice little hefty numbers. There's another one that shows up back there, as you can see. And there's 1.3 right there. And I think there might have been another. I think there was another tick on the back right there. But here's what was happening is right at the end of the ultimate. And well, so let me go back here. So you're going to see again, I just want to play this again because this is what the difference is now between what we're seeing now and what I have previously published. So you see these extra ticks, we're getting, 200s, 500s, and then we got a couple of 1 million hits in there as well. But at the end of the ultimate, what was happening is there was one final hit, right? And it was about 3 million, 4 million. It was actually a very hard hit that almost caught up to the original one, the one that we saw at the beginning. That is gone. That is where the extra damage is missing. We're no longer getting that extra hit. And then you can see things kind of normalize after that, what his basic attack is supposed to do. So that was exactly the fix. It's just that extra splash damage at the end of the mark. So then what I decided to do is I went and did the same runs that I had previously done, both in test server accounts, to look at his preview version to what was the bug version. And so you can see here, I brought in a different set of faction members into it. And then the original version did scale his damage up based on how many infernals we had. Now, after that rework, the one that unfortunately had the bug on the Pyro Blitz, here we can see initially loses a little bit of damage, right? Because he doesn't have these companions with him. But as soon as we put in one, he did started catching up to his original version if he had 3. And then we had some very heavy damage at 2. But then it kind of plateaued after that. We wouldn't gain any extra after bringing in other allies or other infernal faction members. So here's what happened after the fix. Okay, so after the fix with 1 is about the same. The runs were about the same. 4,200, 4,300 is about the average. Now you here see with that 1 member that we bring in, he is dealing a little bit of damage in comparison to what he was able to do. So it's kind of comparison to his original form. So we lose a little bit there. But that's expected if they are fixing that. But look, once we bring that second infernal, they can get that 50% times 2, and then the 60% of critical damage times 2. It does contribute to his damage, and he does pretty well, right? But he is actually doing better than his original form. And then again, it caps out. So you only need 2, and everybody else is just going to be there for support, or if in case one of your primary units that you were using dies, at least you have somebody else to catch up. So that's what we're looking at. So it's still a significant amount of damage that we're dealing here. So overall, if you look at the math, we're getting about a 35% boost in damage, especially with the parameters that I carried out here in the testing in the test server. So it's not a big loss. I mean, this is a big boost to Solcadens' gun. The only caveat is that you need 2 units, 2 infernals to get the most out of him. And that is the only unfortunate part. So if you want to start asking yourself whether this is a nerf or a buff, I would say if you have 2 other infernal heroes with him, is a buff. If you use him just as an individual mage, then it's kind of a nerf because you are losing a lot of damage, especially how they now retool the Pyro Blitz. So that's essentially what that's coming into play here. So I would say that this would have been nicer, but we'll take this. If this is how they meant to release him, we'll take him. He is doing what he is meant to do. And those of you in the global server that are giving him a spin right now, you probably are finding out that, and the whole bug fix was not detrimental to the overall workup that the developers had intended. So I'll leave it all there. We will see you all in the next video. Thank you very much for tuning in and watching.